what your choices have been, and what karmic timelines and contracts you have journeyed. The light is calling for the reunification of all aspects of life in this realm now. It is calling for the cleansing of all polarities. It is calling for the rising of all sacred heart centers now. All are being summoned home to the greater light now.
Hi, and welcome to Whole Soul Mastery Sounds of Circles Heart Sharing in the Round podcast today. I'm Marie Moeller, and I'm an author, intuitive, and a host of the Whole Soul Mastery podcast series. And I'm here today with Caroline Chang, Vanita Lakwala, and Sharon Ramesbottom. Mary Lozano and Renee Tainter can't be with us this morning, but I can feel their energies in this conversation and this heart sharing with us already. So I'm so grateful for each of you joining me today, really. And I thank all of our listeners who tune into these podcasts to experience this heart sharing in the round. And when people tune in, they're adding their energy and their attention to the topics and the things we're streaming about. And we expand the light on this planet, right? The Schumann resonance must go up every time we meet. And when others tune into it as well, because this is a catalyst for change. We are voices of the new frequencies, of the new energy. So there's so much going on the planet right now. We are in the Great Awakening process. And as I was tuning in just for this call, I felt the word alchemy come into my consciousness. And I had to actually look it up because I don't always know the 3D definitions of these things. I feel the higher dimensional energy of them, so I can define it the way I feel it. But if people are saying, what is alchemy? I just saw a brief definition that it's an ancient practice. It's a mystical, a mysterious process where, I don't know if it was philosophers, but it was an ancient practice of attempting to turn lead into gold. Okay, so metal from one form into another form, from one state into another state. And when we think about the process of alchemy and we look at our journeys of personal transformation and ascension and the Great Awakening, there is an alchemical process going on inside each and all of us right now. And I had written down just a couple of thoughts because in that alchemical process, in the ascension that's underway, all the aspects of us that we've ever been are coming into one greater wholeness. We're moving from all this duality into a singularity, right? From many fragments and the experience of separation consciousness into this greater unity. And that means that these shadow aspects that are part of us, all of us, on a personal level and then on a collective level, have to come back into that wholeness, have to come back into the higher unity consciousness. And I think it's going to require a little bit of alchemy to find a place for those shadow aspects to come to our consciousness, to be witnessed, observed, and integrated or released. And so I just wanted to read a quote from Carl Jung, who talked a lot about the shadow, I think. And he said, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. And I just felt that the depth, just the energy inside that. And then as we feel into the energy of alchemy, we're all tasked with doing that on a personal level. So I want to just open up. We could start maybe with just whether you want to talk about alchemy itself and your own experiences, or or things that you do when darkness comes up or shadow aspects come up inside you and inside the collective. What are some things you do to alchemize that, to move that energy and and somehow bring it into a place of cleansing, integration, or release? It's kind of a big question. Yeah, Sharon.
Um, it's interesting that you had thought of alchemy this morning, and it came through because I have also been thinking of it. And to me, alchemy is transformation, and it's God's grace, because everything is of God, of the divine, of source. And so everything can be transformed into God's grace because it is God, it is divine. And so when we move within and we look at all the aspects of ourselves, we have a tendency with our small self to judge. And we've been taught that there is, good characteristics and bad, there's flaws, and how to look at ourselves analytically and critically. And when you move past that, which is a very judgmental and lower frequency way of being, and you shine the light within yourself and accept every aspect of yourself, then you're transforming these flawed aspects and you're bringing them into the love that we are. And in so doing, we can transform everything because it's already so. It's already so. We're just not removing it from the light. We're bringing it back to the light. And so once we understand that we cannot separate anything, we cannot separate any aspect of ourselves, we cannot separate from each other, from anything, because we are just one. And then when we do that, everything becomes alchemy, because as we shine our light, it transforms and it becomes the grace that we are. And so I see it with everything, even blessing my food, even something that is maybe not nutritionally sound, that we've been taught is not good. Well, then I think, why does it have to be so? It's source energy. I am blessing my food. It is God's grace. It will be so. It will be so. And as I bring it in, I'm grateful for that. And it becomes a blessing. It becomes a blessing. And so you can use alchemy with everything, with everything. Everything does not need to be seen as dark or shadowed or whatever. It's all just grace. Anyways, that's
So beautiful. That's
Very,
yeah.
very, very true, Sharon. And when you brought up alchemy, and you read the definition of the ancients transforming lead to gold, I think about the great awakening that we're in the midst of, which is actually moving into a new age. And the new age is a golden age. And so we're moving from more of a lead age to a golden age. But it is so true that it is all one. It is so, I mean, when I woke up to understanding that there is truly no separation, I totally, and I'll say many times to people, there is no good evil. There is no right, wrong. It just is. And it is God. You know, we label it. But when we realize that what we call shadow is God, but we want that light. We want to experience the light. So we want to transform that shadow, not push away the shadow, and it starts from within. So I woke up this morning thinking I had certain people on my mind, and I thought, okay, and then I thought the phrase came to me: see them as their higher self. So everybody that you come in contact with, no matter what they're doing. See them, you know that they are source energy at the core. You know they are a divine soul. Even if they're not acting the way you as a divine soul would act, but you know that they are. So see them as their higher self. And I think the more you see people as their higher self, the more that part of them will shine. So that's but when you said lead to gold, I keep thinking 3D is more the lead that's transforming to 5D, which is the gold. Yes.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. Bonita, did you want to share something about that?
Come back to human nature, understanding what human nature is. And through the yogic understandings, all of yogic practices. Now I go into deep esoteric yogic practices, the philosophy, the aim and the direction of why we practice yoga, and not the popular, let's go do a physical warrior pose or this or that, or whatever. That's good enough for a beginner so that you fall in love with it. But then you go exploring the substance of it, the discipline of it. And the more we stay with that, the more we understand that all of this journey, we want to seek enlightenment, but we don't understand how to balance our energies, our own energy. So we want to be like the Buddha or Jesus Christ or Muhammad or any master. But meanwhile, within ourselves, there's no harmony. We are not balanced. We are balanced, yes, in our isolated spaces. Right here in this space, my yoga room, I'm very balanced. And can I maintain this when I step into interaction, where we get triggered, where we see something that repulses? All of life for us as humans is attraction and repulsion. All of life. It's quite simple. We get attracted to something, we pull it towards ourselves, repulse, we want to push it away. When we harmonize, we don't have these sides. We adapt, we allow, and all of this understanding comes from trying to understand our human nature. So what we have in yoga is known as gunas. Every individual, every human has what are called gunas, Gunas, gunas. These are qualities, our tendencies, our usual tendencies. We have three of them. They are considered three. Tamas, our personality has these moments of insecurity and fear, imbalance. Tamas is unable to get out of a stuck condition, is very conditioned, doesn't see a way out, lives stagnantly, meaning the same old creates stagnancy. So it's a fear operated. This is familiar. I will not shift out of it, even though it's not serving. That's tamas. And all of us have it. No matter how enlightened we say we are, we love our comfort zones. So we are studying ourselves, human nature. And then the next level is rajas. It's an activity, let's go achieve something. So it's ambition based. And the I is dominant here. I did this, I achieved that, I. Huge I. So that's the second level. And the last one, which we are all aspiring towards in these times. So we don't even have to say 5D. This is just saying right here, right now. I want to be in that very balanced, harmonious state, which is sattva. This is the guna, which is more in alignment with this new age that is now in place right now in the planet. It is here. It's not coming, it's here. So our effort as evolving beings and understanding human nature is to move from seeing our insecurities and fear-based tendencies and knowing that what happens when you're in the fear-based tendency, the rajasic, the I ambition comes in, the I, and actually those who are very in the lower plane of stagnant stuckness, they, to counter their fear and insecurity, will anger very easily. That anger is part of the rajasic. They'll anger, they'll protest, they'll like fight because they want to cover up their insecurities. So underneath all of that, it becomes almost a bully tactic kind of thing. And underneath every bully is a scared child. Insecurity. To understand ourselves that way, because we have countered our fear syndromes, our fear personas, and we have moved through it to find that support arrives. We move through it, support arrives. Now we are more focused on the support arrives. We do feel sometimes imbalanced when things shift around us. Our plans go awry, but we understand that support arrives. So now, because we have allowed that to take place, more of the sattva guna is now prevalent in our lives. Like we feel supported, we feel light, we feel joyous joining other light beings like this. Our grouping expands. Satoguna, the more we harmonize our personality, we see the outer reflected. This is the persona for this golden age. Our aspiration is to move from tamas to rajas to satoguna, saying, I am part of the whole. I am that I am. I am that I am. It's a mantra, and it is the most powerful mantra. I am that I am. So that flows into me, and that satoguna now pours out into our realm of experience. And we don't say, I did it. It's happening organically. This is the understanding human nature. We don't have to try to understand anything outside of us. Understand ourselves fully and how it works. We're moving from the reptilian brain to the frontal cortex brain, the evolved human. You see, this is where when we do this work, so the yoga practices, the sadhana, the dedication, we are trying to understand ourselves. When we understand how it works and how we can move past our own aspects. So we all have, when we do self-study, we do what is called the swan therapy, it's called by some master yogis. And it's understanding our strengths. S for strengths, W for our weaknesses, because we don't like to look at our weaknesses. We keep saying, oh no, but I don't have any weaknesses. And ambitions. Why are we doing this? What's the motive behind holding this podcast? What is the motive behind it? Is that I still saying and then the needs of the personality. We all have our needs. Why are we doing what we're doing? So when we understand these SWAN, strengths, weaknesses, and ambition and needs, and there's nothing wrong with desire. Nothing wrong with desire. We are here, we all are supposed to use our desires and ambition, our imagination to create experiences. Now, whether we create them to be harmonious or whether we create them to be dissonant is our choice. In these times, with this golden age energy, anything ignoble, anything that is not noble is going to be very, very detrimental for us. So we can say, I'm moving from the tamasic, insecurity, fear, elevating myself, and I will see myself as Rajas. Rajas is also action. So I'll take action, but the right action. Right action. And then I will arrive at this place of being illumined or feeling that light within guiding me. And then here I am offering my balanced output, my balanced. So we unless we are balanced inside, we're just creating imbalance, just like everybody who's confused. And then in that understanding, we understand why a person does what they do in the outer. So there's no outer, but knowing why a person is behaving and then understanding what may be triggering them. Yeah, the lost child. So the anger shows up and we hold the space and say, it's okay. You can vent out if you want to. It's okay. Understand where you're coming from. So this understanding is going to assist us all in the movement in the days to come, because there's going to be more confusion, more not understanding, more anger, more reaction, but it doesn't matter. We hold the space and we keep ourselves evolving. This is a huge project. It's not something that's temporary. It is the way to be. And those who find they can, get into a practice like this, something that, because mentally we can speak all we want, but you need to have a practice, a daily practice, because it comes and goes fast, and then we get triggered very easily. Very important to have a sacred space, very important to have a regular practice, so important. And there's Tai Chi, there's any kind of spiritual practice that says go within, investigate. It's not judgment, no criticism, but it's an investigation. And then from there, decide which way to move, where to go, how to speak, how to act, ask for assistance where nobody's alone. So.
When you were speaking, I was thinking of the whole inner, in the sense, because one of the things that came to me when I awoken to the universal truth of oneness, that there is no outer, like you said, everything is within. And actually science, because I've seen several documentaries, scientific documentaries on this, that science has proven that there is nothing outside of us. We are the universe. So it is about going within, because the inner, I think of it as a projector. I think of us as a projector and the outer world as the screen. Like when you go to a movie theater, I love the analogy of the movie theater, because you go to a movie, you're looking at a movie on the screen, and you know it's not real. It's just an illusion on the screen. And then you say, I want to change it. And then you're trying to change what's on the screen instead of turning around to the projector, which you are the projector, and changing the real. So you have to go to the projector, which is you, and change. Okay, I want to change the movie. I have to go to me and change that real. Okay, I want a comedy instead of a horror movie right now. So let me find a nice comedy and put that in and project that on the screen. So, but we tend to we want to change the movie. So we try to go to the screen and change the screen when we should be changing the real inside of us. I love that analogy of the movie screen. I think Bashar uses that analogy, and others have used that analogy of us being the projector. So basically it all comes from within us. We are projecting out, and we have this 3D that feels very real movie screen that's around us. It's just a movie screen, but we have the control of the projector within us. And I say my heart center is where I like to think of my projector is right there.
That's so fantastic. I could totally feel that and see that. And I hadn't thought about it that way. But
Really?
as you say it illuminates that, and it gives us a greater perspective on how we're showing up in our lives and how we're participating in all the energy around us and within us. And And Vanita, I think I really honed in too on what you were saying is that concept of a spiritual practice, that understanding of a spiritual practice, because when you are not cultivating something like that in your life, that's when, triggers will always come, especially in these times, right? So much is getting released, so much is coming up. And as Renee Tainter would say, here she is in our podcast, right? She talks about if you don't have that awareness, when the triggers come, you become that reactive creator. And when you have a spiritual practice, whatever those tools might be, you can become a conscious responder, right? Or a conscious creator. And that's where the empowerment comes from. And again, Vanita, I think you talked about people who act out in anger, and they wield their power in some way, which is part of what we're alchemizing the 3D realm, more of that pain and suffering and emotional triggers and all of that, right? Into gold, into light, into wealth, into health, into all those joyful emotions and experiences. We are in the process of reclaiming our divine empowerment, and a large part of that is the tool of awareness. And there are many practices that can support us in expanding our consciousness and our awareness. And each one of us has spoken to some of that in other podcasts. But I know for a lot of people, especially here in the United States, emotions and tensions are running high. Not to say they aren't in the rest of the world. We've also been in a pandemic experience globally throughout the majority of 2020 thus far. And so many people are feeling lots of emotions. And I know for myself, I'm thinking about my spiritual practice, because I'm not somebody who has practiced yoga, or I think my spiritual practice, when I was in the middle of my catalyzing awakening process, my spiritual practice was to order books from Hay House. I think that was one of my, if you could call that a spiritual practice. I just was a regular purchaser. And that was back, 10, 15 years ago, when I could actually read a book from cover to cover. Time was different for me then. And now I don't quite have that amount of time. But that was something that grounded me, that every night I knew, especially at night, that I was going to take about at least an hour, and I was going to read several pages, and I was going to bathe in the frequencies that somebody who journeyed deep into the hero's journey and the alchemical process brought these lessons, to the page, that I could then, take in and enjoy and apply. And that's, the reading a book that's actually in your hands, there's something magical and in a way spiritual, because you are having that introspective, reflective time. You're experiencing the words in your own frequencies, and then you're alchemizing them and you're integrating them in a way to apply them. And so I know, if I think about that, began my spiritual process, but then I began channeling in that timeline too.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, breath work was a part of, and is a part of, connecting at that higher level. And so when I was committed to channeling, and I was committing to expand those gifts that were already inside me, and they're already inside all of us, the breath was really important to support that connection. And the messages really, to me, come through the breath. And it's not that I was a bad breather before, you know what I mean? I was an unconscious breather, I think, before. And when you consciously breathe, and you're connecting with, again, what you both said, Caroline and Vanita, there's nothing outside of us. When we're breathing the all that is, when we're breathing in that conscious source energy that is us, it's more than oxygen. It's life force, and it's actually a reflection of who we really are. And we're breathing the best version of us, the way God sees us. We're breathing that in every breath. And when I go into my channeling state, I know the guides are breathing me. And like you said, that projector, I think they breathe me, they breathe the real through me, and it projects onto the page when I transcribe these messages from spirit. And then I breathe them into life through, recording them and sharing them in messages. But that's just a spiritual practice that I have found. And also because I do it every single day, it is a spiritual practice, but I don't have to call it a spiritual practice. It becomes something that I value, that supports me and gives me a higher experience of my living life force every single day. And I know without that, I would respond to triggers very differently, right? And I did before some of these tools. I think those Hay House books and the conscious breathing have inspired me to take a breath as much as I can. We're all in the journey somewhere. There are triggers that can just, you can react. It's a choice. You can react, but there's that beautiful grace that's inside all of us, that if we can use a spiritual tool like that, and we allow just like a 5 or 10 second still point before we say or do what that reactive response, now we're breathing at a different level. We've shifted timelines. We're in a different frequency inside ourselves, and we can consciously choose how we want to respond to what that is, right? And I guess you guys would talk, you can speak sometimes even better than I can about, what's outside of us really isn't outside of us. It's just another version of us. So when we're responding or reacting to whatever it might be, it is ultimately us in the oneness.
Yes, very true. Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, I've been saying this since 2007, since my awakening. It's a moment to moment, in every now moment. I understand that I have to remind myself of who I am in every now moment. And when I do that, it helps catch me. So I don't meditate as much as I would like. I love meditating in nature. So when I'm out in nature, I can spend hours in front of a lake, just breathing it in, watching the sunset. I was just doing that this past Sunday. But when I'm home, I don't actually sit in quiet meditation as much as I say. I always have that. I have my to-do list, and that's always on my to-do list, but I don't always get to it. But for me, it's reminding myself in every now moment who I truly am, and looking at the bigger picture in every now moment. So I would say that's kind of my daily practice, is moment and being very present.
Mhm.
I find that is very helpful, not being somewhere in the past or in the future, but being here in this now moment, and looking and knowing that this now moment is a blessing, and looking for the blessing in that moment.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's something about the power of the present moment. Adrienne Elise, I've attended one of her classes on intuitive healing. And one of the first things she does is she has us connect with our root chakra. And the power inside that chakra is to access the present moment. And we've heard it from many teachers and many messengers over the years, that is where our true power exists. But we often don't take advantage of that knowledge. We have so many distractions. There's so much noise. The volume is on high right now in the world, and all the technology that I know in theory should be connecting us deeper. In some ways, it gets us further away from accessing the power of the present moment and connecting deeper inside ourselves. And when you describe that, Caroline, at the lake or in nature, when you take that moment and you're breathing and the world gets quiet and you have that still point, you're having this moment of grace. You're washing yourself, you're bathing in the frequencies of who you really are. And when we're consciously breathing in this way and we're accessing that portal and power of the present moment, that's how we're accessing other worlds. And the way the guides have shown it to me is when we consciously breathe, we actually step out of linear time. When we're just breathing in the rat race of life and all the noise and all the distractions, that's more the survival aspect of the root chakra, right? We're running with the pack, we're just doing life. Life is doing us, right? Versus this higher conscious breath that does step us outside of the confines of linear time, and we can access more of our divinity codes and that presence inside us. And right, what was in the past or what we're worried about in the future, when we're right here. And we all know this is the place where we have the power of choice. That's where we can move into that neutrality and connect with our heart centers, breathing through our heart centers, connecting with our root chakra, and accessing the power of the present moment. And some of us know that about the chakra system and the root chakra. You know, it's kind of our fight or flight mechanism. Maybe Vanita, you can speak more to this, but I know it's got those energies of that fight or flight. Or if it's grounded and if we're in neutrality, it expands us into that thriving, right? A thriving consciousness, which is the golden age. And so all these things that we're talking about are essential tools in the journey. And we can understand why many people, we have these beautiful studios, you know, we were talking about that before we got on our call, and these sacred spaces where we each take a little bit of time each day to have our spiritual practice, whatever that is. And then we step outside and we go to the grocery store, right? Or, you know, we go somewhere in public and you can see people in sometimes that frenetic energy, or they're rushing from one place to another, or they're running from their fear, or they're running programs of fear. And you know, just taking that conscious breath and moving into that present space. I love having that tool inside myself. So when I am at Costco, or when I am at Whole Foods, or wherever I am, you know, and I can see people are still wearing, it's just the way things are on the planet right now, wearing a tremendous amount of fear. I'm breathing. I'm just deeply, deeply, deeply breathing. And I'll add this past week, I went and voted here in North Carolina. There's early voting for our election. And I could see that same kind of energy, that fear in people in the voting line, right? And what I could feel is I was like, I had all the tools that I have cultivated over the years. I didn't think I was going to be doing that, but I literally just allowed myself to be an absolute conduit of light. And I was praying for everybody in line. I was feeling that they already know who they truly are, that they know the show that's playing out, that they have the power of their breath, right? I was knowing for and with them that highest good is leading all of us, you know, all of us. And I had this like love that passed through me in the process of that, to connect with that and be in the present moment, even though all around me there was a tremendous amount of other energy. And that's the beauty of these tools. That's the beauty of having a spiritual practice. It travels with you, right?
Yes.
It travels
Yes.
with you.
I felt that so much this year. This year from March till now,
Yeah.
especially here in Pennsylvania in the middle of April when our governor mandated masks. I'm like, not happening. I'm not wearing one. But here's what I have felt. I mean, I have gotten so much love from people by not, I'm the only one not wearing a mask. People like, oh, are you okay? I'm fine. I was reaching, because I'm a shorty. I'm only 5'1.5", and I'm reaching for something on the top shelf. And these two ladies run, they have their masks. And I do social distance because I'm like, I don't want somebody to think, oh, I'm, so I do the social distancing. I just don't wear a mask. But I find people on top of me, I'm trying to, but they're on top of, and these two young ladies, when I was reaching for something and stuff, they ran, oh, can I help you? I mean, I've gotten more love from people by just being love. I'm not wearing a mask. Nobody has said anything to me. Occasionally, if I'm walking in a store worker who doesn't see my badge of freedom that says for health reasons, I cannot wear a mask. And my health reason, I want to stay healthy because I know how important oxygen, breath, I know how important that is. There is, I don't know if you've seen it. It was my favorite guy. I love David Icke, I'm sorry. But he just last week he shared a report by a German, someone who's expert in breath and how important oxygen is for all of our organs, and just to deprive us of oxygen just for a few minutes, the damage that it can do. So I know how important oxygen is for my body. So I can't wear a mask because I cannot deprive myself of oxygen. So I wear my badge of freedom. Most people just see it, don't say a word, or like I said, just give me love. But occasionally a store worker might not see it. And it's like, and all I do, I don't say a word, I just hold it up. And they're like, oh, okay. And, it's just, but I have experienced so much love. And I know it's because I'm sending out love. So that's what's coming back to me. So it's like,
Right.
yeah, because I get comments all the time. Well, how do you do it? I was just say, it's the energy. It's all about energy. Now, if you going in there fearful, you're not wearing your mask and you're fearful that you're going to be attacked, you're inviting that. It's all about your energy. So I've been walking around with my badge of freedom and just sending out love and receiving love. So
Love that. I love you have the badge of freedom and the badge of love. And it's amazing that in that circumstance, it invites people to be, what is inside us. We are collaborative, cooperative, supportive. We want to help each other. And so even though they're wearing their masks, the instinct is there to be of assistance, to support another, right?
yes.
It's amazing. And when you can be a vibration that invites people, even in my experience voting, I had some questions or something came up, and the woman, even in that environment, there's some static energy going on, with people around me, but the woman almost bent over backwards to help me. I just, regardless of whichever side I was voting for, I just felt this deep desire to help. And in the volunteers that are doing this around the country right now, there is in many of these people this deep desire to help, to let the voices be heard, right? And I think when we tap into that, that is our experience. And that's another spiritual practice, is cultivating this groundedness, this breath work inside us, this ability to move energy inside us, so that when we are showing up in places, we can be a force, we can be a presence of light that alchemizes. Our presence changes things, right? And we can, add grease to the fire, or we can be a neutralizer of that and spread love. And that's what happens when we engage the hero's journey. That's what happens when we become that conscious creator that Renee Tainter talks so beautifully about, versus the reactive creator that it's just, the reactive creator is just lacking the tools. That's it. We all want to be conscious creators. I wasn't always a conscious creator. I didn't even have that language, right? I knew how to be a powerful being. I was, an interesting teenager, I'm sure, for my mom to raise, right? I had this huge spirit and lots of things I wanted to do. And when I started to understand that I could channel all of that energy, to uplift other people and spread positive energy and amazing messages, that's where bliss lives. That's where source energy lives. And that's what the golden age that's inviting us through this alchemical process of the great awakening right now is inviting us. And people would say, how are we going to get all the way over there, out there somewhere, from where we are right now? It's through choosing in every moment what vibration you want to be, right? And being that conscious creator, really choosing your vibration. To me, that's the ultimate choice. What vibration do you want to be right now? Right now. And I have a lot of experiences of contrast when I have not been the vibration that I want to be, when I have allowed triggers and things have escalated in conversations with, certain people in my life, that I look back, but I have also consciously chosen to learn from those experiences. And so those don't have to be moments of regret. They're moments that I choose now to transmute all the time. So when I have a trigger that comes into my life, I can remember those moments, and they're still my vibrational teachers. And I know I have a choice. I can go down that rabbit hole,
Mm.
or, and I know where that's going to lead me, or I can choose my vibration and I can take that breath. I can partner with my soul skills. I can access the power of the present moment. I can connect with my root chakra. I can know that it's grounding into the earth mother, and I can feel all the support of spirit breathing me, and breathing what I'm about to say, breathing my response with me, partnering with me to breathe how I'm going to engage, or breathe how I'm going to, just allow somebody else their experience and not engage, because that's a choice too. And I think that is what I'm hoping for humanity in this current process underway, as the new earth expands in all of us, and we start to see visible evidence of that showing up in our lives more and more. It is here. But I hope people who do feel triggered, find tools and resources like this podcast, find books like I found in Hay House, where there's just a lot of amazing wisdom that people have shared, teachers, messengers, because it takes that kind of rehearsing, that visual motor rehearsal, that vibrational motor rehearsal, right? Where there's vibrations behind how we're moving inside ourselves. And the breath is a big part of supporting that and empowering us to know that we have choice. We have choice in every moment. Yes.
I just would like to add, thank you, Marie. That was
Yeah.
beautiful. All of you, the wisdom shared has been amazing. Thank you. I just wanted to add to the listeners that just going within, just being silent daily, just 5-10 minutes, and going within and connecting to their hearts and who they truly are, and breathing, and just allowing yourself to understand, to trust that you are already all of this. We're just remembering who we truly are. And in order to do that, we need the silence to connect with our higher selves, and connecting to our hearts and to the breath and the awareness in the present moment in silence is a beautiful way of just being. And that will enable you to access the intuitive wisdom that is within you, that will lead you forward. And you are all master beings. And so all you need to do is to find that, that breath, that intuitive wisdom that is inside of you already, and connect with it. And so it doesn't have to be, something that, it's walking in nature, but the silence is very helpful, and the breath. And so I just wanted to add that, because it is very simple. It can be very simple just to be, and that is where everything unfolds. And I just had a little experience of, I love connecting to spirit. And so I tend to, when I sit and meditate, I just bathe in their energies, and I am just, so I always sit down and right away I'm plugged in and it's done. And then yet last night I realized that enough with always just connecting to spirit. I stopped and I started connecting within, and I should know this. And just the beautiful aspect of me just kept blooming, right? This is what we're doing. We're blooming now. And as we connect with ourselves, our higher selves, we get to bloom. And so it was beautiful to just kind of be me versus wanting that connection to all. I was just being me in the whole, in the oneness. And I just thought, I'd share that because honestly, everything that you have shared is such a beautiful roadmap for people to just come into their their own true self. And that's what we are that's what's happening now. That's alchemy.
Yes.
It is alchemy. Yes, Vanita.
That the work we have done thus far, we knew we were heading in a certain direction. We kept on trudging along and not giving up, exploring consciousness, terminology, concepts, and trying to get it. And many times it escaped us. It came in and just that little bit was left unknown, and then we kept on and kept on. But right now, my understanding is this is a new playing field. This is a new playing field. This is a new vibrational field. So knowing this, our journey for those who have been doing this work for a long time, to be guides for the others to come in. We are the welcoming committee. We're doing the groundwork here to establish faith. This message has been coming to me. I sit there and it comes in, reestablish faith. This is the message coming to me. Reestablish faith, because we have lost faith and trust. Reestablish faith. This is all that's told me. This is the place that we are setting, our bearings down. We're not keep going back and saying, oh, this is what we're going to do to come back here. We are here, and we are saying, now we are putting not only the foundation, now we're building. And in that understanding that this is a truly different vibrational field, we align with that vibrational field. Our inner workings need to match that in every moment. There's no slippage. We don't want to slip back. So we want to be aware that this is what we're going to guide people towards. This is a new world. This is how it works. This is how you can leap into this world. And for the people who have not been doing this inner work, it'll be faster because we are doing with the groundbreakers. See? So they don't have to go through suffering and strain to come here. We have already created the concrete pathways, so to speak. For us, it was bramble and bush and, machete, I suppose that's how you say it, and you cut. You knew there was a way. We were Dr. Livingston trying to get there. And for the true understanding, I'm not wasting my time saying, that world has to be overcome. No, this is a new world, new vibration, match this vibration. This is how you're going to match the vibration. Let the rest go. Don't have to think about it. Let go. Focus this way. Focus this way so that you are looking at qualities that you want to keep cultivating within yourself that match this world. This cultivation of quality is required at this time within ourselves. And as we cultivate these higher qualities of positivity, of celebration, really, of being free already, focus on being, not going to be free, not on freedom. I am free. I am here free. As we cultivate this, we hold it as an assumption, maybe as a reality. Just hold it as you hold it long enough, it's reality. And then the outer picturing as a projector screen, movie changes. There's no struggle. So we want to give the listeners, here, do this, read this higher vibrational book, listen to this podcast, which is higher vibrational. Let the rest go. Let the rest go. Don't fall into the battles between sides. Number one, even if it's very righteous, don't go there. In source, it's neutrality. Source says, go create. And we humans, we tended to be we lost ourselves so much that we were in that insecure tamasic state, confused, didn't know a way out. So know that everybody who's struggling, who's in anger, is in that state. They're not finding a way out. But as we hold, we become pointers. We say, Go for the qualities which are blessing things. Go for that. Go for the qualities where there's celebration of some kind, laughter. Join in communion with a joyous, happy gathering where we are laughing for no reason. It's silly laughter with loved ones or friends or whatever. It doesn't matter. Laughter will do it. Smile, go to the mirror and just laugh out loud in the middle of a very difficult situation. Go to the mirror and just laugh. It'll change your dynamics. You won't be held down. So we want to give our listeners, besides, they don't have time to sit in a meditation room for long periods of time like I do. I can sit here all day. But for them, it's like, okay, focus on qualities which are noble. Noble qualities. We already know the noble qualities. All of us have that some inkling of noble qualities. And then hold it long enough and say, I am that, I am that, I am that, I am that. There is your, everything that matches that noble quality will surround us as a life circumstance. What is there to struggle against? Nothing. We struggle no more. In this world, we struggle no more. We just invite, and the breath is about right now. So as we arrive in this new place, this new landscape that is saying, now you are here. Now I'm going to give you light codes to match you more of what you are already, to match this new playing field, which we are calling 5D. That's why we're sitting in pranayam, and we sit in quietude, stillness, not just the stillness is two parts. One is of the body, non-movement, and stillness of the mind, of trust and faith that is arriving. And as we breathe in from the belly up, it's a movement of energy. First we ascend, say hello, come on in, then it descends, flows in into this being, body, mind, spirit. And here we are the holders of this new light codes on this new landscape, new vibrational field. We're matched. And the creations are reflective of that. So this is what we want to tell our listeners, that this is why we give so much emphasis to the breath, why we talk about stillness, why we talk about quiet time. Quiet meaning the tongue, actually, in some of our practices we wrap the tongue inwards, so we don't use it because most use muscle in our body. Wow. And especially in the Zoom time, that's all we're using. The tongue is going nonstop. So we wrap it up, even that is quietened down. And then that flows in, new light codes, and it's really happening. So we are told more and more to really be quiet, not speak for short periods of time, as much as possible, and then be with yourself, as Sharon said, find yourself. Find yourself, because the yourself is the creator. You don't find yourself, you're trying to find yourself in the outer, you'll never find yourself. It's a changing scene. And there's no time to lose now. This dissonance, the tamasic, the insecurity, the fear is expanding, the anger is expanding. That's what's happening, is that light code energy, the sattvic energy is pouring in, and it's saying, we say, what's happening to me? Well, it's just shaking those low vibrations out of us. Understand that's happening to the listeners. This is what's happening. And a state of allowance. Yes, it's clearing me up. Yes, I'm purging. Yes, I'm releasing baggage. Yes, I'm being enlightened. This is what's happening in this present moment on this planet. And it is by our choice at soul level. And for many of us at this personality level. Yes, clear me out. I'm ready to play in this vibrational field. We can't bring a baggage from there here. We can't. We can't bring our lower tendencies. So the light is getting so much brighter, saying, either by your choice or not, I'm removing it for you. so that you can be your bright self, that which you have always been, like Sharon says. You have always been. You have never not been. And so, as we, as way showers, we give them this understanding of the process that is going on right now. So that when we understand the process, it's so much simpler. There is an ease in it then, and allowing, and the allowing and ease brings us to that next revelation of each being's journey. Because we can't say, follow my path. Each being's journey is unique. Each being is a shining soul. So this is what I wanted to point out. You know, we could talk about philosophy, but here we need action steps. We need action steps right now on the planet to guide and give pointers. Reading Hay House books is a spiritual practice. Reading the high vibration books is a spiritual practice because they are pointers. They point towards, give us direction. They keep us within a center. And from there, when we get up and we go out into the world, we have new eyes. Anything that will change our perception to seeing clearly is a spiritual practice. Talking to high vibrational beings like you is a spiritual practice. So spiritual practice doesn't mean we have to spend hours and hours sitting cross-legged, which I do, but that is my personal choice. And there are beings who are doing karma yoga. So there are many types of yoga. Karma yoga is not the karma that people talk about. Oh, you did a bad thing and now you're going to get the whiplash from that or whatever. But karma means action. And to really, for those who cannot sit still and go within, which I can, that's my forte. There are beings who do service, who go out and serve without any expectation of reward, without any expectation of acknowledgement or recognition for their work. That is karma yoga. And we do karma yoga anyway when we serve our family members. So that is spiritual practice. If we are that action-oriented person, we do karma yoga. Those who can go within and journey within and connect to, do bhakti yoga, connect to their own divine nature and to the vastness of being, that is bhakti yoga. And we do mantra yoga. I'm a jnana yogi. I want to understand intellectually. I want knowledge. I want wisdom. That is my forte. I love to know more. So I'm a jnana yogi. I want to get to the gist of things. I want to get under the surface. So that's my thing. So I do everything together, but nothing is isolated. Everything is together because in the end, we are all karma yogis. We're serving, but without any desire for recognition, any desire for acknowledgement of, look what I did. This is the way of the new earth. This is the way of service to all creation. Eventually, we'll all feel that. But right now, we are giving these pointers to the listeners. There's so many ways to arrive back home. Like Sharon said, come back to your home, find yourself, center yourself, get so balanced. You become a balanced personality, harmonious, that it's a joy for others to be around you. And you are the catalyst for change. As you walk into a grocery store, you emanate blessings, and the others put down their armor. So this is so simple, but this is what I wanted to just say, that action steps are required right now. Pointers, as we're all giving it, but I feel like right now it's like we can't go back anymore. You're in new ground. Come on, let's now figure out how we're going to be collaborative and cooperative in this new playing field.
I've been hearing for weeks now, Spirit saying it's time to celebrate. Because
Exactly.
2020 is exactly, it's actually from all the messages I'm receiving is that we have totally, the masses that are awakened and awakening daily has surpassed what we need to awake, to bring all of humanity. So no one gets left behind. It's about all of us moving to higher, and we are there. I've been there, and I've been saying this since March. I've been in 5D. I'm just inviting everybody, come up, come up. And there's enough of us that are awakened, enough of us doing this work and sharing this work, that we have passed that point of no return. We've gotten to, I listened to Daniel Scranton every day. And yesterday's message was that there we have, now we're on a timeline where there's no one getting left behind now. And I don't understand it on the logistic side, but I trust it. It's a message that resonates as true, that there's enough of us awake and enough of us awakening every day, that, and the ones that are awake, we don't want anyone left behind. We want all of humanity to go forward together. And because of that, we have raised ourselves to a higher timeline. So those lower timelines where only some of us ascend is no more. We're on a higher timeline. And that was in Daniel's message from the Arcturians. It was, Daniel was the channel, but the Arcturians' message was, we are on a very high timeline. And that means it's time to celebrate. It is time to celebrate.
I like that.
Yes. Yeah, raise the house. And that once, I don't know if you saw on Facebook, I shared the fifth, and I didn't even connect the dots, the fifth dimension group, the fifth dimension from the 60s that sing a song, Aquarius.
Oh,
You
that song.
hear it. Okay, so I'm like, wait a second. I know the song Aquarius, and I know the group, the fifth dimension, but I'm like, wait a second. The fifth dimension is singing about the age of Aquarius. Like, there are no coincidences, really. And that's actually one of the top hits, not just from the 60s, but all like, what do they call it? Top hits from all times.
Right.
That song, Aquarius is the name of the song. Aquarius and then dash, Let the Sun Shine In. And that was sung by the Fifth Dimension in 69. And I found a really cool video. I posted it on Facebook, but it's like, yeah, it's yeah. And then if you listen to the words, and I'm not into astrology, but it says something about the seventh house, the moon being in the seventh house, and Jupiter being aligned with Mars, and peace will rule our planet. So all about the age of Aquarius, which we are at the dawn. And actually the date is December 21st, 2020. So I'm ready to party. Y'all come party with me. Because our higher galactic team have been partying all year. They've been, I don't know if they drink champagne, but they've been partying all year, and I've been right there with them.
Yeah, they have their own galactic champagne, I'm sure. I'm sure. Right? Yeah, Sharon, please.
Can you just take a moment and share your 5D and 3D breath that you had channeled also, because it was very helpful to me, and just breathing in the 5D and
from the transmission, that energy.
yes.
Yeah, in my last transmission for Frequency Writer posted on Color the Magic, I'll put the links below. People can really read it, and they can also listen to it, because really taking that in. But I can share, the guides talked a lot about our breath, right? And our breath, we're just a breath away. And that breath inside us is the fifth dimension, is the age of Aquarius, right? And the guides were sharing how we can breathe in all of that divine, pure source energy and light, the divinity codes that we truly are, that celebration energy, that new earth garden of new earth light and life force. We can breathe in all that joyful energy and that celebration, and we're breathing out all of the old timelines. We're breathing out, we're moving that energy with our breath. Literally, we are moving mountains inside us with our breath. So we're breathing out all of the karmic entanglements, any tethers or tether wounds to wounds and suffering and challenges and fear. And we're breathing in all of those new light codes that actually we always were. It's what Vanita's talking about, all of that energy, those lower frequencies in our lower chakras. That's where we hold them, in our first, second, and third chakras, in our root, our sacral, and our solar plexus chakra. That's where this third dimensional reality has held us down in kind of, I see it as like the sludge in a lake, all the debris at the bottom of a lake. That is what we're breathing now. We're just breathing it out in our exhales. We're breathing out all of those 3D densities, and we're breathing in the fresh new light force, letting the light shine in of this new age of Aquarius, letting the light, feeling source, breathing us, breathing who we really are and who we've always been through time. That is an organic, infinite essence that was never diminished in any way, in any of our choices, in anything we've ever been, said, or done, or felt. We're breathing out all or any of those attachments to those energies because they're just not us. And we're breathing in that lightness of being. And Source is breathing us in that in-breath. It's breathing in who we truly are. And that is accessible in every single breath, right? And how many breaths? I still have yet to look up how many breaths does somebody take per day, but I'm sure there's some number. And it's, do you know, Vanita?
21,600 according to some of the masters.
There's a song. There's a song that talks that one of my favorite songs, and they talk about moments. I don't know if it's but they talk about the number of moments in a year.
Oh,
It's the song. It's the theme song from Rent, the play.
Oh yes.
Yes,
How
that's
many?
one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it talks about how many moments in it quotes the
Yes.
number of moments in a year.
It's so beautiful. And you think
Yes.
about that in a year, and then in a month, and then in a week, and in a day. And
Yes.
there's so many breaths we take a day. And it only takes a few minutes a day to connect in this deeper way, in that presence inside us, where we're breathing in who we really are. And Source and all of that powerful, beautiful, higher dimensional, galactic and cosmic and source energy is breathing us and reminding us. And that's what the Arcturian Collective comes through in my transmissions every single time. They start the transmission talking about the breath and the light that they're streaming into the channeling with, and inviting us now to partake in that breath with them, so that we become one breath, right? We are one breath of one creation breathing itself, right? Yeah, Vanita.
So when we are suggesting our listeners to breathe, the tendency would be breathe faster and more.
Right. Volume is better, right?
Yeah, like let me get more of it in. It's the opposite is true. The opposite is true. We actually want to breathe slower, and in a minute we want fewer breaths. We want the heart to quiet down a bit, give it a rest. We want our inner systems to quiet down, the pressures to go down. The slower we breathe, the lesser the pressure, and also the mind quietens down. So if you breathe faster, anybody who's hyperventilating, what's happening is a quick, fast breath. There's agitation. The whole system is out of sorts, and the mind doesn't think clearly. There's reaction, there's panic. And so when we talk about breathing, it's got to be long, full, deep, and slow. So as you breathe in, as I'm speaking now, see how slowly I speak. This is how we guide people. Breathe in and then breathe out. We don't go breathe in, breathe out. We don't do that. Say breathe in, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hold, pause, then breathe out. And then we work our way into the pause. We hold in the pause as long as we hold in the inhale and exhale. And the minute we start doing that, I can see Marie is getting tranquilized and she's almost yawning, because that's what happens when I speak many times. People start yawning because I tranquilize them with my speech. But with us this is the intention, to tranquilize, to make someone feel restful. So we do that with our speech. We do it deliberately with a slow breathing, where enough energy comes in, pours into the inner being, and enough is released slowly. This is very important. So the breathing has to be slow, deep, and long. Otherwise, it doesn't serve the purpose of quieting anything down. The mind doesn't get quietened down.
Now, who's an expert at that? Eckhart Tolle. I love him. I love his books. I can't listen to him because he puts me to sleep in 5 minutes. But it's deliberate.
Exactly.
It's deliberate.
Yeah, he brings one to present moment immediately, with his very simple speech.
Mhm.
And in seconds, one becomes present. When we talk about being present, we most of the time don't get it. It's a concept most of us don't understand. But when we listen to him, as soon as he starts speaking, in fact, many times he will start his session without any speech. He'll be quiet for a long period, and many will get agitated with that because we're not used to. We want action. We want action. It's like, okay, why is he not speaking?
No, I totally get it, but it's just like,
what,
okay,
yeah,
you put.
this is
I'm
what we need.
by the time he says the first word, I'm like.
But let me tell you one thing.
I love him. I really do. His books are great.
I want to tell you something. So people who used to come to my class, I'm not doing any classes right now, but who used to come to my class, like, I can't meditate, I can't be still. Guess what? Those are the people who really need this practice. To become quiet, to become more inward, to become more inner focused. They are the ones who say, I can't be still. They need that practice. Initially, you fall asleep. After that, you become alert. So initially, in many of my classes, we have shavasana, where we ask them to lie down. And then, when I start speaking, people get hypnotized, and some start snoring. And I allow them to do that. It's like being on a train. When you're going to get off the train, you fall asleep midways, but when you reach your station, because you just know. And they know, they fall asleep, they snore, and I say, all right, move your fingers and toes. They will get up. And that tranquilizing is required in the beginning. After that, the seeker or the practitioner becomes more alert and then knows what's taking place while being in that tranquil state. So it's required for most people to arrive at that realization they can become so tranquil. And sometimes you do fall asleep. It's okay in the beginning. After that, that sleep really awakens you.
Right.
That sleep awakens you, and you become that being of awareness.
Well,
Just wanted to share that.
When I first found out the power of deep breathing, which is shortly after my awakening, I was sharing just that deep breathing 5 minutes a day. I was trying to one of my friends. I was saying because I start my day with my 5 minute deep breathing exercise. I said, just deep breathe in the morning, 5 minutes. And she said that to me. I can't. I don't have time. That's like but I know the physical, mental, and emotional benefit from deep breathing. And I was trying to share that with her, and she said, "No, no, I can't do that." I'm like, "Okay." And she needed it. Believe me, she needed to do that. But you can't. You can lead a horse to water.
Right.
You can share as much, but they have to drink. So yes, but no. When I listen, but see, when I'm in the mood to listen to someone lecture, I want to hear. So that's why I say I can't. I love his books. I love him to death. I'm so grounded in the now. I'm so with him, but I can't listen to him speak because I want to hear him speak, and he's not speaking. I love Eckhart to death. I'm like, speak!
Such a good teacher. He's doing exactly what he's meant to do, right? Like
Right.
holding that presence for you to arrive in your own way. And I would say that's been my experience when I first started channeling. That's exactly what I would do. I'd go to sleep. And I would have a recorder on waiting for the speech, right? And
Yeah,
all
yeah.
you hear is my deep breathing because I'm out. I'm totally out. And so, it was a process. It was a process.
Yes.
And I think that's that higher dimensional energy that's so soothing.
Yes.
It's so resetting. It's so calming. It's so who we are that it's foreign to our 3D operating system that is used to the injection of all that, static energy and all that go, and so yeah, it took a little while to be an awake channel because
That's funny. Oh my
so,
goodness.
literally, and I think it's so good to hear that from you, Vanita, in your practice, in your school, and in your classes that you've had. It is a natural part of practicing these skills and allowing yourself to go through that phase, go through that part of the process where you might go to sleep. And you probably do need rest because that's also your body saying, I've
Yes.
been tending to so many things outside of myself. When we actually stop for a minute, we're asleep. When we
Yes.
actually allow that energy in, it's so soothing. We want to be cradled in it and we let ourselves go. And when we sleep, we go into, for many of us, into a higher state of consciousness.
Yes.
We
Yes.
are
We
connecting
let
with
go.
spirit.
We let go of that resistance. Abraham talks about that a lot. When so just go to sleep, because when you go to sleep, you at least let go of that resistance when you're sleeping.
Right, exactly. And
Yes.
as we acclimate to those new vibrations, those bigger vibrations inside us, and we can hold that frequency, now we can come into awakeness and be a vessel and a conduit and a presence of that higher light. And so
Yes.
this was beautiful today. I thank
Yes.
you. The
Thank
richness.
you.
Thank
So
you.
really, really, thank you all. And to our listeners, you can tune into these messages, these podcasts, these inspirations on YouTube at Whole Soul Mastery. And I'm also posting a lot of these messages on Color the Magic, my YouTube channel as well. And you can find us on wholesoulmastery.com. There's a little less activity going on there, but if you want some seeds of inspiration, there are some beautiful offerings there as well. And these are all part of the spiritual practice. Wholesoulmastery.com can become your hay house, right? So, and same thing with our videos, right? These are all, higher vibrational offerings and messages of light. So I thank our listeners for joining us. Please share these messages with people who would resonate or benefit from them. And we'll see you next time. Blessings, everyone. Namaste.
Namaste.